Admiral Elena Torres stood at the bridge of the UES Hyperion, her weathered hands gripping the command rail as she watched the alien fleet materialize at the edge of Saturn's rings. The Archean vessels gleamed like polished obsidian against the star-filled void, their organic-looking shapes a stark contrast to the angular human ships of the United Earth Fleet. "They're hailing us," Admiral Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Translation matrix is active." Torres straightened her uniform, dark eyes fixed on the main viewport. After 20 years of deep space exploration, humanity had finally encountered an advanced alien civilization. The moment should have been triumphant. Instead, her gut twisted with apprehension. "Put them through," she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple sets of eyes arranged in a circular pattern. High Commander Vexthor of the Archean Empire spoke with the casual arrogance of someone used to instant compliance. "Primitive species," the alien's translated voice resonated through the bridge. "Your system has been claimed by the Archean Empire. Surrender your worlds and submit to our authority, or face immediate extinction." Torres didn't flinch. She dealt with bullies before, though never on this scale. "This is Admiral Elena Torres of the United Earth Fleet. The Sol system is sovereign human territory. We have no wish for conflict, but we will defend our homes if necessary." Laughter echoed through the transmission, a disturbing, multi-tonal sound. "You mistake this for a negotiation. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your species is barely spacefaring. Our scans show your technology is centuries behind ours. Submit, and we may preserve some of your kind as servants." "Last warning," Torres said quietly. "Withdraw your forces." The Archean commander's eyes pulsed with bioluminescent contempt. "Then let your extinction serve as a lesson to others who would defy the Empire." The transmission cut off. Immediately, the Archean fleet began moving into attack formation, a beautiful and terrifying display of coordinated movement. "All ships, battle stations," Torres commanded. "Initiate Protocol Omega." Her bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, though she could see the fear in their eyes. On paper, this was a hopeless battle. The Archean fleet outnumbered them 10-1, with technology that seemed far more advanced. But there was something the Archeans hadn't considered. Humanity had not survived and thrived on Earth by being weak. They had not reached the stars by giving up when faced with overwhelming odds. And most importantly, they had not spent the last 50 years preparing for this exact scenario without a few surprises in store. The first Archean shots lanced out, plasma weapons that could tear through conventional shields like paper. The human fleet didn't move, didn't react. The Archean commander would be congratulating himself on an easy victory, until every single shot passed through empty space. "Quantum shift complete," Rodriguez reported calmly. "All ships have successfully transitioned to parallel space-time coordinates." Torres allowed herself a grim smile. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Show them why you don't provoke humanity." The human fleet rippled back into normal space, but not where they had been. They materialized throughout the Archean formation, their positions carefully calculated to cause maximum chaos. And now, finally, they revealed their true weapons. The UES Hyperion's quantum torpedoes ignored shields entirely, passing through multiple dimensions to strike their targets at the atomic level. Archean vessels began to break apart, their advanced technology useless against weapons that operated on fundamentally different principles of physics. "Impossible." Vexthor's voice boomed through an emergency transmission. "Your species, you can't have this level of quantum manipulation." "You made 3 mistakes," Torres replied, watching another Archean capital ship dissolve into its component atoms. "You assumed we were primitive because we chose not to flaunt our advances. You threatened our homeworld without considering why we might seem so isolationist. And most importantly," she paused as her fleet executed another perfect quantum shift. You provoked the deadliest species in the galaxy. The battle was no longer a battle. It was a demonstration. A lesson being taught to an arrogant empire that had finally encountered something beyond its comprehension. Humanity had spent generations preparing for first contact, knowing it might not be peaceful. They had developed technologies in secret, always remembering their violent past and preparing for a violent future. As the remains of the Arxian fleet tried desperately to retreat, Torres opened a channel to all surviving enemy vessels. Return to your empire, tell them what happened here, and let everyone know the Sol system is off limits. Humanity will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. And we will not show mercy to those who threaten our existence. The message was clear. The galaxy was about to learn why challenging humanity was the last mistake any species would make. The grand chamber of the Arxian Imperial Palace blazed with bioluminescent fury. High Commander Vexthor knelt before the Imperial Council, his scales dulled with shame as the holographic replay of his fleet's destruction played above them all. Each explosion, each impossible human maneuver, drew hisses of disbelief from the assembled counselors. Explain, Emperor Zarkax demanded, all 8 of his eye clusters pulsing with barely contained rage. How a supposedly primitive species obliterated our most advanced battle fleet. Vexthor's voice trembled. My Emperor, they possessed technology we thought impossible. They moved through dimensions as if walking through air. Our weapons, our shields, everything we believed made us superior, meant nothing. In the shadows of the chamber, General Ixera watched silently. Unlike her fellow military leaders, she had spent years studying humanity from afar. She had seen what others had missed, the careful way they tested their ships, the mysterious energy signatures from their hidden facilities, the way they seemed to be preparing for something. The humans didn't just defeat us. She spoke up, stepping forward. They were waiting for us. Every move they made was calculated, precise. This wasn't just a battle, it was a message. The Emperor's attention shifted to her. Explain. We've conquered 1,000 worlds because we've always been the most advanced species we encountered. But humanity, she gestured to the replay, freezing it on an image of a human ship phasing through multiple dimensions. They saw us coming. They developed weapons specifically designed to counter our technology. While we were expanding our empire through brute force, they were studying the fundamental laws of the universe. The chamber erupted in angry debate. Some called for immediate retaliation with the full might of the empire. Others demanded they sue for peace before humanity decided to take the war to Arxian space. Back on the UES Hyperion, Admiral Torres received the first reports of the Empire's reaction. The Quantum Intelligence Network had infiltrated Arxian communications within hours of the battle, another technology they had kept hidden until necessary. They're mobilizing their entire fleet, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. 7,000 capital ships, support vessels. They're stripping their conquered worlds of defenses to amass a force against us. Torres nodded, studying the tactical displays. And our quantum sensors. Detecting exactly what we expected, Admiral. Their ships are being equipped with experimental phase shift technology. They're trying to replicate our quantum drive capabilities. But he paused, allowing himself a small smile. They're about 30 years behind where we were when we started. Predictable, Torres mused. They still think this is about technology. They haven't realized what truly makes humanity dangerous. She turned to her communications officer. Contact the Resistance Network. It's time for Phase 2. Across Arxian-controlled space, carefully planted human agents activated their protocols. The Empire had spent centuries building its power through fear and superior technology. Now they would learn the hard way that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their quantum drives or dimensional torpedoes. It was their ability to inspire hope in others. On 12 subjugated worlds, oppressed species who had suffered under Arxian rule for generations received encrypted messages. Technical specifications, weapon designs, tactical protocols, everything they needed to fight back. But more importantly, they received proof that the invincible empire could be defeated. General Ixera was the first to recognize the true scale of what was happening. She burst into the Emperor's private chambers. Security protocols be damned. My Emperor, we have simultaneous uprisings on multiple worlds. The subject species, they're using technology similar to the humans. Emperor Zarkax rose from his meditation pool, his bioluminescence flaring with alarm. Impossible. How could they? Because humanity planned this. Ixera interrupted, her military training warring with her urgent need to make him understand. The battle at Sol wasn't just a defense, it was a demonstration. While we were dismissing them as primitive, they were building a network of resistance across our entire empire. The Emperor's next words were cut off by a priority alert. The holographic display showed an Arxian dreadnought, the pride of their fleet, dissolving into quantum particles above a supposedly pacified world. The last transmission from its commander was a single, terrified message. They're everywhere. In her ready room aboard the Hyperion, Admiral Torres reviewed the reports with grim satisfaction. The Arxians had believed their technology made them invincible. They had never considered that their real weakness wasn't their shields or weapons, but their ideology. Send word to all resistance cells, she commanded. Operation Avalanche is in effect. Show them what happens when you underestimate not just humanity, but every species capable of dreaming of freedom. The galaxy was about to learn that the deadliest weapon humans possessed wasn't their quantum technology. It was their ability to unite others against tyranny, their talent for turning enemies into allies, and their unconquerable spirit that had carried them from stone tools to the stars. The Arxian Empire had started this war believing they were the superior species. Now they would learn why. Throughout human history, it was always a fatal mistake to provoke humanity's wrath. Fire rained through the quantum dimensions as the battle for Arxian Prime entered its third day. General Ixera watched from her command center as another defense platform dissolved into its component atoms. The humans weren't just winning. They were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. But it wasn't the quantum torpedoes or dimensional shifts that truly terrified her. It was the voices. On every frequency, in every corner of the empire, the humans broadcast their message of liberation. And people were listening. My general, her aide rushed in, scales pale with stress. We've lost contact with the 7th Fleet. The Krislak slave worlds. They've broken their conditioning. They're using human quantum technology. Ixera closed her inner eyelid slowly. The Krislak had been slaves for 10 generations, their neural restraints supposedly unbreakable. How? She whispered. How did humanity manage this? The answer came from her quantum intelligence unit. They had finally decoded some of the human transmissions from before first contact. What they found shook the general to her core. They'd been planning this for over 50 years, she reported to the Emergency Council. Every exploration mission, every primitive human ship we detected, they were mapping our empire, contacting our slave species, building a network of resistance right under our mandibles. Emperor Zarkax, his bioluminescence dimmed with exhaustion, leaned forward. But why wait? If they had this technology, this network, why not strike first? Because, a new voice cut through the chamber. That's not how humanity works. Admiral Torres's hologram materialized in the center of the council chamber. Another demonstration of human technological superiority. The Arxian security systems hadn't even detected the intrusion. We didn't want this war, Torres continued, her image walking calmly through the stunned council members. We spent 50 years preparing not because we wanted to attack you, but because we knew species like yours existed. Empires built on conquest and subjugation. We prepared because humanity's history taught us that peace must be defended. By inciting rebellion across our empire, Zarkax challenged, by destroying our fleets, by giving hope to those you enslaved, Torres corrected. Your empire is falling not because of our weapons, but because you never understood the most fundamental truth about sentient beings. The desire for freedom cannot be permanently suppressed. Across Archean space, the revolution was spreading faster than anyone could have predicted. The Kryslak quantum ships, built in secret over decades with human assistance, emerged from dimensional pockets that had hidden them from Archean sensors. The Veraks, supposed primitive warriors, revealed battle tactics that seamlessly integrated with human quantum strategies. But it was on Archean Prime itself that the true masterstroke of humanity's plan became clear. As General Ixera studied the patterns of human attacks, she finally understood what they were doing. They weren't trying to destroy the Archean homeworld. They were protecting it. These attack patterns, she explained to the Emperor, highlighting tactical displays. They're not random. They're surgical strikes, taking out military and control infrastructure while minimizing civilian casualties. They're dismantling our ability to oppress while preserving our civilization itself. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Torres received the message she had been waiting for. The Archean resistance, citizens of the Empire who had long opposed its expansionist policies, had finally made their move. Led by none other than General Ixera herself, they demanded the Emperor's abdication and immediate emancipation of all enslaved species. Your empire is finished, Torres transmitted to the Emperor. But your civilization doesn't have to be. Surrender now, free your slaves, and we can help your people transition to a new way of life. Continue fighting, and we'll be forced to dismantle your entire power structure one quantum torpedo at a time. The Emperor's response came not in words, but in actions. Across the Empire, neural control systems were deactivated, slave collars deactivated, prison camps opened. The great Archean Empire, which had stood for 1,000 years, transformed in a single solar day. As the quantum dust settled, General Ixera found herself standing beside Admiral Torres on the steps of the Imperial Palace. The human was smaller than her, physically weaker, and yet, "I still don't understand," Ixera admitted. "You could have destroyed us completely. Why show mercy?" Torres watched as former slaves and former masters began the awkward process of learning to coexist as equals. Because true victory isn't about destruction, it's about transformation. Humanity learned that lesson through countless wars on our own world. The hardest battle isn't defeating your enemy, it's turning them into allies. The general nodded slowly, understanding at last why humanity was considered the deadliest species in the galaxy. Not because of their weapons or their tactics, but because they could do something far more powerful. They could change the very nature of their enemies. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps, thanks to humanity's unique blend of preparation, power, and wisdom, it would be better. Deep within the crystalline archives beneath the Imperial Palace, Admiral Torres and General Ixera made a discovery that changed everything. Ancient records, preserved in quantum crystal matrices, told a story that neither human nor Archean had expected to find. "This can't be right," Ixera whispered, her scales shifting to a pale blue of shock. "These records, they suggest that humans and Archeans have met before." Torres studied the quantum hologram floating before them. It showed Earth, but not as it was now. Earth as it had been 50,000 years ago. And in orbit around that ancient Earth were ships that were unmistakably Archean in design. According to this, Torres said, her voice tight with controlled emotion, "Your people visited Earth during our Stone Age. But instead of conquering us, we left," Ixera finished. "The records say we detected something in human genetics, something that terrified the Imperial scientists of that era, a potential they called the World Breaker gene." The revelation spread through both human and Archean command structures like wildfire. Lieutenant Rodriguez, analyzing the ancient data aboard the Hyperion, found the critical piece of the puzzle. "It's not just one gene," he reported to Torres via quantum link. "It's a unique combination of traits. Adaptability, innovation, and something the Archeans couldn't quite understand. An ability to imagine futures that don't exist yet, and then make them real." In the Imperial War Room, now repurposed as a joint command center, human and Archean scientists worked together to understand the implications. The quantum displays showed genetic analyses, brain wave patterns, and something more. Something that explained why humanity had been able to master quantum technology so quickly. Your species, a senior Archean scientist explained to Torres, has a natural affinity for quantum mechanics at the neural level. Your brains actually process quantum possibilities instinctively. When our ancestors discovered this, they realized that if humans ever developed advanced technology, we would naturally grasp concepts that other species struggled with for centuries. Torres finished. That's why our quantum drive worked so well. We weren't just using the technology, we were intuiting it. But there was more to the story. As they delved deeper into the archives, they found evidence of a greater threat. The reason the ancient Archeans had begun their policy of conquest in the first place. They were protecting it. These attack patterns, she explained to the Emperor, highlighting tactical displays. They're not random. They're surgical strikes, taking out military and control infrastructure while minimizing civilian casualties. They're dismantling our ability to oppress while preserving our civilization itself. The Void Hunters, Ixera read from a damaged crystal matrix, a species from between dimensions. Our empire, everything we built, it was meant to be a defense against them. We conquered other species because we believed only through unified control could we hope to survive when they returned. Torres felt a chill run down her spine. The quantum sensors at the edge of human space had detected something recently, something that moved in ways that defied even their advanced understanding of dimensional physics. How long? She asked. The calculations in these records suggest they follow a cycle, Ixera replied. If they're accurate, the Void Hunters will return within the year. In orbit above Earth, the combined human Archean fleet began to assemble. Ships that had been enemies days before now maneuvered in harmony, their crews learning to work together against a threat greater than their past conflicts. We need to tell them, Rodriguez said quietly, standing beside Torres on the Hyperion's observation deck. All those species we helped liberate. They need to know what's coming. Torres nodded, watching as a former slave ship, now crewed by both Krislak and their former Archean masters, executed a perfect quantum synchronization maneuver. The Archeans were right about one thing, she said. Unity is our best defense. But they were wrong about how to achieve it. Force doesn't create true unity. Trust does. She turned to the quantum communication array, preparing to address not just humanity or the former Archean Empire, but all species who had found themselves caught in this moment of galactic transformation. The real war, she told Rodriguez, is just beginning. And this time, we're all on the same side. As if to emphasize her words, the quantum sensors blazed with new alerts. At the edge of known space, something was stirring in the void between dimensions. The Void Hunters were awakening ahead of schedule, perhaps drawn by the quantum disturbances of the recent conflicts. Humanity had proven itself the deadliest species in the galaxy. Now they would need to prove themselves something even more important, the galaxy's best hope for survival. They came through the quantum void like living nightmares. The Void Hunters' ships weren't ships at all, but massive organisms that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions. Their very presence distorted reality, creating ripples in space-time that threatened to tear the fabric of the universe. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the UES Hyperion, now the command center for the largest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy's history. Former enemies fought side by side. Human quantum ships synchronized with Archean biotech vessels, while liberated species brought their own unique technologies to the battle. Multiple dimensional breaches detected, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the terror of what they faced. They're using tactics we've never seen before. They can actually consume quantum particles. General Ixera's image appeared on the tactical display, her scales shifting in patterns that Torres had learned to recognize as determined focus. The ancient records were wrong about one thing, she said. They're not just hunters. They're planet killers. They consume entire worlds to fuel their dimensional travels. The first wave of Void Hunters struck the combined fleet's defensive line. Their attacks ignored conventional physics. Ships didn't explode when hit, they simply ceased to exist, their component atoms scattered across multiple dimensions. But humanity had one advantage the ancient Archeans never had: their unique ability to intuit quantum mechanics. Torres watched as human quantum calculations, combined with Archean biological technology and the diverse tactical innovations of other species, began to turn the tide. All ships, execute Protocol Omega Prime, Torres commanded. Show them why we called it the World Breaker gene. Across the battlefield, human officers interfaced directly with their ship's quantum systems, their natural ability to process quantum possibilities allowing them to predict and counter the Void Hunters' dimensional attacks. The Archean ships, their biological technology now enhanced with human quantum insights, created living shields that could adapt to the enemy's tactics in real time. "It's working," Rodriguez exclaimed as another Void Hunter entity was forced back into normal space, its dimensional advantages neutralized by the combined fleet's efforts. But victory wouldn't come through military might alone. As the battle raged, teams of human and alien scientists worked desperately to understand the true nature of their enemy. It was Dr. Kira Patel, a human quantum physicist working alongside an Archean biologist, who made the breakthrough. "They're not evil," she reported to Torres. "They're desperate. Their home dimension is dying. They consume worlds and realities to survive." Torres shared a look with Ixera through the quantum link. "Then we give them an alternative," the Admiral decided. "All ships, hold position." Dr. Patel prepared to broadcast on all quantum frequencies. What followed was either the bravest or most foolish diplomatic attempt in galactic history. Using their combined understanding of quantum physics and dimensional mechanics, the Allied fleet transmitted an offer to the Void Hunters: cooperation instead of consumption. For 3 tense hours, the battle froze as the message was received and processed. Then, impossibly, the Void Hunters responded, not with weapons, but with images, equations, emotions. They were intelligent, even civilized in their own alien way. They had never encountered species who could comprehend their nature, let alone offer them hope. "They're agreeing," Rodriguez translated in amazement. "They're willing to work with us to find a way to stabilize their home dimension." In the months that followed, the galaxy transformed. The combined scientific knowledge of all species, including the unique insights of the Void Hunters, led to breakthroughs that would have been impossible for any civilization working alone. Humanity's quantum intuition, Archean biological engineering, and the dimensional mastery of the Void Hunters created technologies that bordered on the miraculous. 1 year after the battle that never became a war, Admiral Torres stood in the new Galactic Council chamber, addressing representatives from every known species, including the now peaceful Void Hunters, who manifested as shimmering quantum patterns in the air. "We proved something remarkable," she said, looking out at the assembled beings. "We proved that the deadliest species in the galaxy could also be its greatest hope for peace. When the Archeans first attacked Earth, they thought they were provoking a primitive civilization. Instead, they set in motion events that would unite the galaxy." She turned to General Ixera, who now served as the Archean representative to the Council. "They were right to fear the World Breaker gene," Torres continued, "but not because it made us destructive. They should have feared it because it made us creative enough to imagine a better future and determined enough to make that future real." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity wasn't deadly because of their weapons or their technology. They were deadly because they could do something far more powerful. They could change the very nature of conflict itself, transforming ancient enemies into allies, turning threats into opportunities, and finding hope in the darkest of voids. And that was a power that would reshape not just their galaxy, but all realities to come.